What's up, guys? Big Light here. I am playing Diablo 4 as I've done a couple videos for Diablo 4 in the past. I got on really late this season. I missed a lot of the beginning of the season, but I got on and I got my character a lot of power pretty quickly. And last night I went ahead and pushed the pit a little bit and submitted a video to these guys at helltides.com. And you see I'm 6th here for, this is sorted for necromancers only. So I'm playing a necromancer right now. I'm playing a pet necromancer specifically. But I went ahead and pushed the pit a little bit, did a 122, topped out the highest, who was the highest American pit run here by one level, just to be that guy. But this put me pretty high on this scoreboard. The scoreboard is strange. Some people really like it because you have to submit a video, and so you have to prove that you're not using any exploits or bugs or like things that are broken and not intended in the game and things like that. But obviously there's also this like selection bias where you're not always going to get all the top runs that people do because not everybody wants to record a video and send it in. Not everybody knows it's there and stuff like that, but it's some indication that, you know, you're pushing high pits, your character's very strong for the season. And what occurred to me with this is that a lot of people aren't really sure how to make their character strong in a game like Diablo. Because there's a lot of different systems and mechanics and currencies and all this stuff going on. It can be confusing to make your character strong. So I was going to give the super quick and dirty guide here for just in general making your character strong. I might do another video for this specific build that I'm playing. I think it's really fun. You can see down here with my pets that I have 22 minions here plus the golem, so 23 guys running around with me. It's really makes it very fun to play around controlling this like army of dead and stuff. But that can be an aside thing. I want to talk about in general, how do we make our character strong and how do we do it relatively quickly? Because I think that I've had this character going for maybe a couple weeks or something like that. So let me show you guys how to kind of get power quickly in Diablo, and then a couple little unique things for this season in particular. So the first thing that I would point out to you is when you play a character, you need to pick a build. And it's probably going to start with your skill tree. That's the first thing that happens when you level up. And you want to pick spells that go together and work together in some way that have some kind of like synergy. So don't just pick random stuff because this one seems good and that one seems good. Pick spells that go together, right? That's a very basic thing. With this, one of the things to note about the Necromancer for this specific example is that the type of damage you see down here at the bottom of this thing, it says shadow damage at the bottom of this little tooltip. The damage type depends on the pet you pick. So I can make all of my minion spells shadow damage, right? And so then I can play it as something where everything feeds into me doing more shadow damage, okay? And so I'm going to stack plus shadow damage on my character. And this one can't be. This one is physical. But you see I only have 1 point in it because I want to use the spell. But it's not shadow damage, so I'm not going to max it out. And I can concentrate on using all shadow damage things with some specific situational stuff that helps my character in ways that are really needed. So for the Necromancer, they're not super mobile. They did add this spell that lets you dash around, but you don't have a ton of like mobility. What you do have is this thing, this blood mist, can make you just completely invincible for a handful of seconds. And so I take that to use in case of emergencies or when things get rough. And then the other thing that I would point out with this is I took this one, I made it a shadow spell, and I made it summon a little guy. Because part of this build is I'm buffing the damage of all my summons. I'm increasing all that damage. And so I'm taking an auto attack here that summons a little guy because I have tons of things that improve the damage of summons. So even though this doesn't do that much damage for me, it does more than it would if it wasn't shadow and if it wasn't a summon. Okay, so I'm picking things that all go together. And then there's things you want to know, quirks about your class in particular. So I'm going to use an item that's going to put these curses on everybody for me. I'm not going to have to do it. But it will take these curses as they're spec'd out in the tree. Okay? not just the baseline one. So when I put a point in this, when I pick this, when I pick this, when I pick this, all these effects are on this curse when it gets applied for free through my unique item. So that's a good thing to know about your class, about the Necromancer class, and whatever class you're playing. There could be little things like this where, oh, I'm going to apply this spell automatically. Does it take the base spell? Or if I put points in it, if I pick things, will it put the new modified one on there, right? So things like that are good things to look up to figure out power of your class. But in general, pick skills that go together, that kind of synergize in some way, so you have a cohesive build in mind. Okay? So then, as you play your character, you're going to be looking to get items, right? A lot of your power, pretty much, well, I won't say all of it. A lot of your power comes from your items in Diablo. So, what we want to do is, as we start, when you're in the very early parts of the game, your gear doesn't matter that much. If it has a higher item power, pick it. That's pretty much it. So when the item power there, right under where it says Ancestral Mythic Unique on this one, it says 900 item power. If the item power is higher when you're very first leveling up, it's probably good. The biggest thing I would look for really early on is just your main stat. So for me, that's intelligence on the Necromancer. If you're a barbarian, it's strength. If you're a paladin, it's strength, that kind of stuff. But look for things that are good for you, or good in general. Crit chance, attack speed, and your main stat. But for the most part, what you wear doesn't matter a whole lot in the very beginning. You want to start pushing towards stats that are good for you. As your gear starts to get to that 850 cap, that's the first kind of soft cap that you get to, is gear that's item power 850. And you want to look for good stats, I say. So what are good stats? Main stat is generally good to have, especially on your armor pieces over here and on your weapon. But you're going to want critical strike chance in general. Attack speed is generally good. Anything that says plus damage is good. Let me see if I have... Oh yeah, so this one, you see next to the little star on here, it says plus 75% critical strike damage. The plus damage is good. That's fine anytime you can get it. What you really want is up above where it says X 31% critical strike damage multiplier. So the numbers that have an X next to them will be multipliers of your damage instead of adding to your damage. And so they'll be the addition is applied in the beginning. So we have like a base damage. We'll do any kind of like plus damages to that. And then when we do multipliers, we'll multiply the number. This is not quite accurate. This thing, unfortunately, doesn't really display quite accurately. The multipliers go on at the end to all of your damage. So even though it says like times critical strike damage multiplier, it's not just multiplying my critical strike damage. When I get a critical strike, it multiplies my damage. Everything that's put together at that point, it then multiplies it. And each different bucket that these multipliers are on is its own multiplier. So this one has critical strike damage multiplier, and this one has critical strike damage multiplier, right? Those two will be added together, and then the number will be multiplied. So this one's 24, this one's 31. That's 55% critical strike damage multiplier. So I'll get a 55% increase in my damage from that. Separately, this one also says vulnerable damage multiplier. So that 28% is multiplied after I multiplied the 55% from the crit damage that we just talked about. So in general with my armor, what I want to do is these multipliers, I want to access as many of them as I can. So like vulnerable damage multiplier doesn't do anything for me unless I make enemies vulnerable, right? So first thing is I want to be able to access them. And then second is I want to spread my multipliers out if I can. Okay, so I want to touch many different multipliers. So this one has critical strike and vulnerable. This one also has critical strike. This one has critical strike. This one doesn't. This is separate. I'm going to talk about this in a second. This one's critical strike. vulnerable. Okay, so honestly, I could have done a better job. I only spread it between the two. I think I got rid of a piece that had a shadow damage multiplier. But you want your multipliers in as many things as possible so you can get all damage, shadow damage, things like that. But more important than anything is that they're high, obviously. And we need to stack lots of them to get the kind of absurd damages that let us do Torment 10, 11, 12, things like that. So that's what pushing for good gear means in the 850. More importantly even than that is when we can start to get ancestral gear. You see this as Ancestral Mythic Unique, Ancestral Legendary Chest under the name of it. The Ancestral has... Let me get some stuff that isn't so cluttered in the thumbnail. Ancestral stuff has this little white glow on top, okay? When you have the white glow on top, that's going to be generally better than your 850 stuff, okay? So when you're kind of getting capped out on the 850 and you can start getting Ancestrals, try to start pushing all your gear to Ancestral. When you're getting Ancestral gear, I would say go ahead and temper it. So tempering here is adding a stat. So if I had like the boots in here, I could say, okay, I want to add a stat. It shows me what I'm allowed to add to boots. I'm going to add a mobility thing. I want to add movement speed, right? And then I can temper it and roll movement speed. That's what that one on the bottom is with the little kind of like feathers or V looking thing or whatever it is. I tempered movement speed onto here and added that stat extra to everything else that was already on the boots. I would start doing that when you get Ancestral gear. And then when you're kind of like fully equipped in Ancestral gear, or as you start to get gear with greater affixes, which will always be Ancestral, then I would replace with greater affixes. So a greater affix is a piece of gear like this that has, you see there's a little star next to one stat, and there's a star next to the name of the piece of gear. You want to start accumulating gear that has the little starred stats, so greater affixes. And those stars can be on anything. A couple of these, especially the mythic ones, didn't have greater affixes when I got them. But you can temper. When you temper, you can temper over and over again until you get a greater affix if you want, and you have the materials. So to do that, you throw something in the tempering thing here. You choose what you're going to temper, like the mobility that I said I was going to do, right? And you roll it. I'm just going to re-roll these so you guys can see. And roll it. And you can sit here. And this thing, these scrolls of restoration, you get these, I don't even know. You just accumulate them as you go. You can keep putting more rolls on. You see that brought my rolls back up using those scrolls. And you can keep rolling it until you get a roll that you like. Okay? So now you see I didn't just roll this until I got a greater affix before. But I had 29. I'm going to leave with that too. 30. When you get the greater affix, you'll stop seeing the range here. And it'll just say, it'll be, I forget, 1 1/3 or 1 1/2, something like that. I forget. But the stat will be higher and there won't be a range next to it anymore if you roll a greater affix on your temper. And you can see I did that on here. I just rolled it over and over again until I got a max life greater affix. I rolled this one over and over again until I got a critical strike damage greater affix. Right. So there's a bunch of pieces in here. This one I rolled until I got a critical strike greater affix. You can force that on there. I wouldn't spend the resources needed to force the greater affix on there until you have gear that you feel like is very good. You like all of the stats on it. It's Ancestral, of course. It has... usually I like to do it when one already has a greater affix. So like this one already had 2 greater affixes on it. And then I forced tempered. I just tempered over and over again until I got a 3rd greater affix on it. Same thing here. This one had a greater affix for critical strike, and I just rolled summon damage on my temper until I got a greater affix on it. You can do that stuff to your Ancestral gear when you feel like you have gear where all of the stat slots are good. So you can have 4 stat slots by default, and you want all of them to be good. So something like this, it only has 3, but it has 2 greater affixes, okay? So that's why I hung on to it, so I could use it for something else if I wanted to. If this happens, you can use your Heraldric Cube, which we like for like kind of making good gear, you can throw this thing in here. You can do add an affix, and you can even add these little things that you get. I'll say I want this. This will force an offensive affix to go on here. Okay. And then I transmute, and now it has 4 total affixes. Okay. So now it has a crit damage, a cold damage that's greater, an intelligence, and a weapon damage that's a greater affix. Okay. And then with that, I can come over here, and this lady, if I have, say I have an item that would be really good, it has 3 really good affixes, I can come in here and I can choose one of them that I want to change, and I can roll with her. She is expensive, so be careful with the cost on this, but you can take one of the stats and roll it into something else and just get a chance to get something else that you want. Okay? The other thing that she can do is I can come here, and any power for anything that I've salvaged, I can put onto my gear. Okay? And so I can pick something that I want to put on here, aspect of decay or whatever, and then I can put it on here. I can always change it later if I want, but I can turn it into a legendary item that way. Okay? So that thing will get us our good gear. We want gear that has 4 good affixes on it. If it has 4 good affixes and at least one of them is greater, that's usually when I start doing the masterworking thing. So then I put it in here, and all this stuff is masterwork. But you can go, you can put something in here, and then you can upgrade the quality. You'll use these materials, upgrade the quality. You can upgrade it up to 25 out of 25 quality, and then you'll get to roll it one more time, and it'll do, see how one of these is orange, the intelligence is orange. It'll do one stat that it improves even more randomly, and then you can also at that point re-roll which thing got that random buff if you want at that point. So I'll show you. So these, they have plus intelligence that got randomly upgraded. If I want to, I can use this to randomly roll that again and see like what other stats I can get instead of the intelligence, right? But I want the intelligence, so I got that again, so I'm going to keep it. But that allows me to choose kind of which of those stats I get on. So I would masterwork it and masterwork the stat that should be best for you. Usually for damage. Sometimes you do want to greater affix like a max health or something like that on your armor to help you get some survivability. But most of the time you're looking to hit one of your, like, the stat that you need the most, the offensive stat that you need the most on an item. Okay? And if you have good stats and it's masterworked, then go over here and you can transfigure the item, which is throw it in here and make it has a chance to improve it. I would also do this when you have backups because it also has a chance to ruin the item, so be careful. And almost always when you transfigure it, it will make it unmodifiable. There are some times that it won't make it unmodifiable, but it's very rare. It'll almost always make it unmodifiable, so make sure the weapon, you don't have any plans to ever change anything on it before you transmogrify it. Okay, so that's our gear progression. Get to 850, get ancestral gear with greater affixes, right? If it's ancestral, it's probably worth tempering. If it's ancestral and has a greater affix, it's probably worth masterworking. And you're pushing higher and higher torment levels as you're gaining power by doing this. And the other thing that I would tell you to do is you can look up a loot table and find out who drops the uniques that are really good for your build. Figure out if there are any uniques that are very good for your build. Like this one I'm wearing. I have it in Mythic now, but I was wearing one that was like this with just unique before I had the Mythic. I was wearing this one. So find out what boss drops it and use your boss keys to farm those bosses to get ancestral versions of the uniques that you want. Okay? When you're starting to get masterwork gear, greater affixes, you kind of have farmed the ancestral uniques that you want, you can probably start pushing for mythics for your uniques. Okay? To get mythics for your uniques, it really is just random luck. But in Zarb and Zet, the seasonal lady for this season 14 here, the Corrupted Reaper. She drops uniques more than any other boss. It seems to me a lot more. Almost all of my mythic uniques that have dropped for me came from this boss. So the chest for her, after you kill her, the chest comes, and the chest opens with these superior lair keys. I think the only other boss that uses these superior lair keys is Belial. I would strongly recommend you use them on her and not Belial, okay? To get all the mythic stuff that she drops, okay? What you're getting from her is obviously really, really good, right? Because you can get mythics of your uniques. So, kill her like that. On Torment 12, ideally, that's going to get you the best gear from her. So when you get... Obviously, that was really easy for this character to do. It wasn't as easy when I started farming her, but I could reliably kill her on Torment 12, and so I started killing her on Torment 12 over and over and over again, okay? She drops, you see, on Torment 12, she drops all kinds of stuff, right? And I don't think she dropped me a mythic item that time, but she dropped me almost a whole inventory worth of gear, and they have a much higher chance of being mythic uniques than normal. Unfortunately, she drops everything, so it could be, the mythic uniques could be anything. You can see I have in here a tab where I just have a whole bunch of mythic uniques that I don't want to use, that I got mostly just from her dropping them. Okay, so she can be rough to get the one that you want, but I would suggest that what you do is, as you kill other bosses for your uniques and as you play the game and stuff, you're going to accumulate these superior lair keys. I would honestly probably just sit on them until you can at least kill her on Torment, like 10, 11, 12, something like that. And then I would just use them all on her and see what you can get from mythics, because she will also drop these things. So these Pandemonium fragments, they're what you need to craft a mythic, and you can see this one is crafted, right? This one is crafted. This one is crafted. This one is crafted. This one is crafted, right? So all of my mythics that I have, I didn't actually get from her dropping them. I got because she drops those little items every single time that you kill her, okay? And you can take any... I think it only has to be 850 even, but anything, I've been taking the ancestral uniques that are just kind of sitting around in there. You can click craft mythic, and for me, it's using 4 of these Pandemonium fragments. I think when I started crafting mythics, it was only taking 3, but at some point it bumped up to 4, I think. But in any case, it takes some of these. She'll drop you, I think, like 2 or 3 of these things every time you kill her. Okay, so if you have a whole bunch of keys, you can accumulate a ton of these things and get a lot of rolls. When I put a unique in here and then transmute it, it's gonna make a mythic, guaranteed. But the mythic can be anything in that slot. So these are gloves, it's gonna make mythic gloves. Is it gonna be the mythic gloves I want? Who knows, right? It might be, it might not be, right? For some items, like for this scythe, there's only one unique scythe. Unique two-handed scythe for necromancers, okay? So I would get this one, because I couldn't get any other unique two-handed scythe. I would get one of these, put it in there, and it would make a mythic one, reliably every time. That's amazing. If you can do something like that, that's your best bet, okay? If you can't, you just have to deal with, okay, I'm throwing this in here, there's like 4 or 5, maybe 6 different, like, unique gloves that a necromancer can get. It could be any of them in mythic mode. This one, I got an Endurant Faith, okay? So, that's how it is. The mythics now, you can, they have random stats, but you can re-roll the stats too. So, like, life on hit sucks. So, I can re-roll that into something else, like crit chance is awesome, right? And so now what I have is an Endurant Faith that's mythic, with a greater affix on maximum life, which is awesome, with a critical strike, physical damage, intelligence, These are not bad if I was playing some kind of like blood build or something like that, right? So that's a pretty easy way to get those. I can temper these as well. So I can go over here and I can add something else that I want to put on there. With gloves, I can put something offensive on. Let's do a crit damage. Again, a plus to crit damage. And sure. So with these, with the mythics, every roll will always be max. So you see each of these rolls is the max of the range. That's always the case with mythics. Any roll that you get will always be max. Okay? So that allows me to like make a mythic item. I don't really want the Enduring Faith right now, but I have a pair. So that's how I get those things. Okay? So I want to look through uniques. If I have a build that I've decided on, there's a lot of builds. You'll see a lot of like power rankings and stuff, or like tier lists for builds, but you can make a lot of builds in this game that aren't even on that. This build that I'm playing isn't quite on that. There is a minion necromancer, but it's built more around the mages. Mine is built more around the skeletal warriors, but you can make lots of builds as long as they kind of make sense and you can kind of see how far you can push them. Obviously, the ones on the tier list that are like S and A, you can usually push really far because they are very strong. But you can make all kinds of stuff if you kind of start to get an idea what you're doing. So look through kind of lists of uniques, or just look at them when they drop. See what kind of things look good, and then go out and try to get a version of one that's really good for you. And then for the slots that you don't have a good unique for, don't have a unique that you're kind of like dying to use, you're going to have legendaries with the affixes. Every time you smash gear at the blacksmith, if it has an affix when you salvage the gear, if it has an affix that you don't have, or a better version of one that you do have, it'll get saved over here with her. And then you can put it on anything that's yellow or orange gear, legendary or rare gear. You can put an affix on and turn it into legendary gear. And these affixes, again, a lot of them, especially the damaged ones you see, it's 59% X multiplier, right? So it gets multiplied after everything else is done, right? This one, 131% X, it's a multiplier, right? So we want multipliers. We always want multipliers. That's how our damage gets to the point that it's absurd, okay? Without the multipliers, the damage can never really get that high. So we want multipliers coming from lots of different things. And so we're going to pick our legendary affixes to give us multipliers, and make sure you do something for defense or you're going to get one shot, okay? You have to have health and you have to have some kind of damage reduction, or anything that hits you is just going to kill you, okay? So on that multiplier thing, something like this is really nice, where it says I deal 325% increased damage with an X, right? So after all the other damage is done, it multiplies by 325% and adds that to my damage, right? And it increases damage to frozen enemies and bosses. So when I'm killing regular guys, they got to get frozen before this one kicks in, but when it does, I hit really, really hard. And then when I go to bosses, like the corrupted Reaper that I just killed, I do ludicrous damage because everything's getting increased by 325%, right? So that kind of thing, those multipliers are huge. So you're looking for multipliers on your gear, and you're looking to kind of spread them out. You don't want things, you don't necessarily want tons of multipliers that are going to add together. You want multipliers coming from different sources you can put all together to make a huge number, because they all multiply each other. Okay? So with that being said, of course, the Paragon Tree. Once I get max level, I can start earning points in the Paragon Tree. You get these by just getting experience. Okay? So what do I do with the Paragon Tree? What should be my goal? My first goal is to pick the 4 boards that I want to add. I can have a total of 5 boards, including this starter one, this first one they give you. So I want to know which 4 boards I'm going to pick, okay? And you pick by the legendary nodes, okay? The boards are defined by the legendary nodes, okay? And you pick these by whatever's going to be best for your build. Oftentimes in this game, it's how can I do the most damage, right? This one I picked because it has a little bit of damage reduction, but also, of course, deal more damage, right? So I picked things that will apply to me in the way I'm going to play. And then my first priority with the Paragon board is to get all 5 of my legendary nodes, because they almost always have some big number and an X, right? So it's a multiplier. We love a multiplier, right? So 60% multiplier, right? 20% chance to have a 300% multiplier. That's equivalent of a 60% damage increase, right? Multiplier. This one, 40% for each 20% of attack speed. Okay, so this one ends up being like a 200% damage multiplier for my minions, which is enormous, right? And then this one, 45% multiplier, right? So all these are multipliers of damage. So I want to get all 4 of these legendary nodes as quickly as possible. So my first Paragon points that I get, you'll get them quick right after you reach max level, especially as you go up in the Torment levels and you're getting more and more XP. You'll get these points pretty quick. My number one priority, get all 4 of my legendary nodes, okay? As I do that, I can kind of also spend some points to unlock the socket where I put a glyph on each board, okay? So I can at least just put the glyph in. And so often what I do is just go up, get the glyph socket, and get the 2 yellow nodes that are like close to the glyph socket and keep going. If I'm patient, I think this time I was pretty patient, I'll get just enough of whatever stat these want to unlock the secondary thing in the glyph. So you see this one says for every 5 dexterity purchased within range, skeletal warriors deal 18% increased damage, right? But if I have at least 25 dexterity purchased in range of this glyph, I get 20% summon damage. So I think right when I first got it, I put this somewhere and got almost exactly 25 dexterity and then just moved on, right? Just enough to unlock that second bonus because it's another multiplier, right? 20% multiplicative damage, right? The mage one, same thing. 20% multiplier on it. So I got that one, got the 40 int that it needed, moved on, right? So get your glyphs, I would say kind of all together, but really the most important thing is get your 4 legendary nodes, but get your glyph sockets and get enough points to activate their additional bonus on each glyph, okay? A big part of getting that additional bonus is the range of the glyph. This goes up as you level it. So you do the pit, and at the end of a successful pit, you get to put points in your glyphs, okay? You can see this one is level 113, this one's level 106, 101, 101, 101, okay? You want to get points in your glyphs. You want to get all of the glyphs you're going to use, so know the 5 glyphs that you want to use beforehand. You'll have to do, mostly they drop from the pit. They can also drop in other random places. But, they drop from I think the Tree of Whispers caches also. But you'll want to get your glyphs, kind of try to know the 5 you want, and first order of business, get all 5 of them to level 25, okay? That'll be their first increase in size. Next order of business, get all of them to level 51. That will increase them in size again and add that legendary bonus that's at the bottom. See, that says increased damage by 10%, increased damage by 11%, increased damage by 11%, right? Multiplicative on all of those. So, 51 will get the legendary bonus, and then as you get high, as you're doing pit 100s, pit 110s, that kind of stuff, then pick a time to just sit down and grind some pits and push everything to like level 100, okay? These glyphs can add a lot of damage to your build, so they are important. And then as you do that, as you get the Paragon nodes, once you have all of your legendary nodes, you have your glyph slots unlocked, you have your secondary effect on each glyph or your additional bonus working, then you can start to fill out your trees. You see, I have points all over the place. I have the trees filled out. I put a bunch. I took like every point of dexterity available in the warrior one because my build is focused around my warriors doing a lot of damage. I took all these like summon damage ones all over the place. All this stuff. But you kind of fill that out as you get more points, right? When you're low on points, you just want to get first all your legendary nodes, get your glyphs unlocked, get your additional bonus on every glyph. Okay? Alright, so pit is very important for our character's power. And then last thing I wanted to mention, I wanted this guide to be quick. I wanted it to be quicker than it was, but we're not taking too long, hopefully, is this thing. So this was added last season, I think. Maybe it was the one before. I don't recall. But this thing is in the game. So you collect these charms and you collect these seals. So first order of business, the most important thing for this page, and this talisman page can be very strong for your character. Extremely strong for your character. The first order of business is try to get a legendary glyph that has this +1 charm slot. You want to be able to put 6 charms on. Okay, you absolutely want to be able to put 6 charms on. And when you have one of these legendary glyphs that has +1 charm slot, you can get a full set of these charms. So that you see there's different kinds in here. I have these ones, I have the purple ones, these kind of brown ones, these black ones, the white ones. There's different charms in here, and what they are is set bonuses for different like flavors in your class, right? So a necromancer can have like minion spells, shadow spells, blood spells, bone spells. This one is unique. It's the macabre stuff. That's a certain area of your tree, but they have these bonuses, right? And so you can see right here, I have the 3 set unlocked for this one. When I have one of these legendary seals, I can put on all 5. You see they have a different glyph on them. They have a different like archaic letter thing, a different symbol on them. You need to have all 5 symbols. So first order of business, try to get a legendary Heraldric seal that has a +1 charm slot. A lot of the ones that drop don't have the +1 charm slot. They have 2 like set bonuses. That's not what we want. Just keep getting seals. Do anything you can that gets you seals until you get one with a +1 charm slot. I would say your first one that has a +1 charm slot, use it. It doesn't even matter what the bonuses are. Like this one gives crit chance, and then if you're using the purple charms, it'll do darkness skill cooldown reduction. We don't even care what those things say. If it has a +1 charm slot, start using it. Later, if you get one that is also good for the charms that you want to use and good for your build, use that instead. But having the +1 charm slot is more important than anything else that's going to be on these. Okay? When I have the +1 charm slot, I can do a full set of these. So the next order of business is figure out which of these charm sets is good for the build that you're going to play and get all 5 different symbols. So you see each one of these 5 is a different symbol. So I have the blood set. If I want it, I can put all of them on because I can only put on one of the same set with the same symbol. So like this black one that has the little single slash on it, I can only have one of those on at a time. Okay? So I want to have all 5, and that allows me to get a whole set, which I can have my 5-piece bonus. You see it says in the parentheses 5 set. So when I have 5 of these on, my basic core and ultimate blood skills drain 3% of my maximum life on cast to trigger twice, and my blood skills do 75% multiplicative increased damage, right? And we love a multiplier. These things tend to have huge multipliers for specific spells, and so you want them to have a huge multiplier for the spells that you're using, right? So like this one, a 225% multiplier for profane and macabre spells. You're going to have macabre spells all over the place if you're using these, right? So this is going to buff like your golem and your bone spirit, things like that. So if your build is centered around those things, this could be a good set, right? I'm using the purple ones because they buff your darkness damage, which is any of your shadow spells, which I showed in the beginning. All my pets are now shadow pets. So this one is really good for me. It gives all kinds of bonuses to using shadow spells. And then the last thing I would say, so we have one of these with an extra charm slot. If we find one that has good bonuses in addition to the extra charm slot, that's great. We're building out a full set of these. The next most important thing is on these. At the top, you see the 2 little stats. This one says 9% impairment reduction and +3 to darkness skills. What you want on these charms is +3 to skills that you're going to use. So for me, that's in this build, that's darkness skills and minion skills. Okay? And so you see this has +3 to darkness. This has +4 to darkness. This has +3 to minion. +3 to minion. +3 to darkness. +3 to minion. Okay? The other one of the 2, I don't even care about. What I want is for it to have plus to the spells I'm going to use, okay? Because that comes in here in the skill tree, and you see my golem is 47 out of 15. I have 47 rank points out of 15 possible. So my golem does enormous damage compared to like the default. The warriors even better, 50 out of 15, right? Oh, that was my mages, huh? Sorry, mages have 47 out of 15. The warrior, 50 out of 15. The golem, 48 out of 15, right? So they have huge numbers of ranks in them, and those ranks are worth a lot of damage. You really want that. That's giving you damage before all those multipliers kick in. So then the multipliers multiply this huge damage that you're getting from all these skills. It's very important for big damage. So that's what we want on the charms. And then last thing you notice, my charm is not one of the orange ones. Anything that gives you charms can give you one of these mythic charms. There's 2 types. This one allows you to equip more unique charms. I've never seen a build that wants this. Maybe there's some out there that I just don't know, but to my knowledge so far, I haven't seen a build that actually wants this because the set bonuses for having 5 of these is so good, okay? So when I have the 6, I can put on 5 of these to get the set bonus and then 1 legendary charm. And that's usually really, really good. Most builds are centered around putting 5 of these on and 1 legendary charm to get the 5 set bonus from the set, and then 1 legendary charm that adds some great legendary effect for you, okay? So, that's what we get from this. From these, you could equip 3, but this one reduces the number of charms needed for a set bonus by 1 to a minimum of 2. So if you have at least 2, it'll treat it as if you have 1 more than that. So these 2, you can see, are giving me the 3 set bonus for this set. And these 4 are giving me the 5 set bonus. So what this does is it allows me to get the 5 set bonus from one set and the 3 set bonus from another set, which normally is not possible because there's only 6 slots. So this one, the mythic seals are pretty rare. Getting the one with the right thing can be pretty rare. The one that reduces the charms needed for a set bonus. But if this is something you really want for your build, like I started the season knowing that I absolutely wanted one of these because I wanted to pair these 2 sets, okay? Just do everything that you can that drops seals, okay? Anything that drops seals and is a high level, Torment 10 also increases the chances that you'll drop one of these mythic seals. So get to Torment 10, do as many things as you can that drop seals. And the other thing I would say is the lady, the Corrupted Reaper that we killed, she also, in addition to dropping more mythic everything, she also has an increased chance to drop mythic seals. So do anything you can to start getting mythic seals if that's something that you really want for your build. You can put it in here and utilize 2 set bonuses. So that's basically how we build power for whatever build we want. You can pick the build that you like, that's fun to you, that's a class that you have a strong enjoyment of the class fantasy, whatever it is you like, you can do that. You can go look on one of the tier lists, see what builds are supposed to be the best, and start looking for that stuff. But what I would say is, in order, when you start, have an idea for your skill tree, pick spells that go together, okay? As you level, push your gear to 850 first, then get all ancestral and temperate, then get all ancestral with these greater affixes, and you can start masterworking them. As you're getting the ancestral with the greater affixes, try to focus on getting uniques that have good stats, okay? The uniques that you want for your build that have good stats. And then when you have masterworked gear that's ancestral with greater affixes, you can probably start to really try for these mythics by, I would suggest, killing that Corrupted Reaper over and over and over again with all of the superior lair keys that you hoarded because you refused to use them on anything else, specifically Belial or lower level versions of the Corrupted Reaper. Once you're Torment 10 plus, you can probably start farming her. Okay, and then Paragon Tree, while all that's going on, get your legendary nodes first as quickly as possible. Okay, get your glyphs. Your glyph slots is probably next highest priority, and then put enough points in them to get the additional bonus on every glyph, 3rd priority, and then just start going crazy. Start maxing out, start taking anything that's good for your build in the tree. Okay, glyphs. Do the pits to level them to 25 probably as fast as you can. And then when you have a little bit of power and it's easier to do a little bit higher level pits, push them all to 50. And then as you get into doing pit like hundreds, 110s, go back and push them all to 100. Okay? And then finally, charms and seals. First thing, get a legendary charm. See, this one has 2 set bonuses. That sucks. We don't like that one. Get a legendary charm that has a +1 charm slot on it, like this, and use your 5-piece set bonus and a legendary or a unique charm that is good for your build. Okay. Then start pushing your set charms into ones that have plus to skills that you use, right? Plus to the skills that you use the most. And then while you're doing that, anything you do, if you can farm seals and get a mythic seal, if that's something you want, get the mythic seal so that you can do the 2 different sets, if that's something that's good for your build and something you want. A lot of builds are at their best, really, with just the legendary seal, and then doing the 5-piece and 1 unique charm. A lot of builds are at their best with that. So you might not even want one of these mythic seals. It might not be that good for you. It can be fun to play around with if you get one, but it might not be something that you're really pushing for. Okay? So that's all there is to it. You do that stuff. None of it's that bad. You do it all by just playing the game. Okay? XP, the Helltide things are really good for XP. The gear drops everywhere. Just do stuff you like in the game. It's probably going to drop gear. The uniques you get from bosses. The mythics you also get from bosses, or they can drop randomly. But the best place to get them is the Corrupted Reaper boss that they just added to the game. And then the Paragon Tree you just get from XP. And the glyphs you get from doing the pit. So do the pit. Charms and seals, the Undercity with the Undercity with the little modifiers that say it gives charms and seals. These ones. The Undercity with these modifiers that say they give charms and seals. That's a great place to get your charms and seals. And then the other thing you can do is with your charms and seals, as you're like looking for them, you can come in here and you can throw a charm in here and reroll set charm. It will stay the same color or the same like flavor. So this one's going to be of the Black Shroud no matter what when I reroll it, but it'll have a different symbol and it'll have different of those 2 stats at the top, right? So that can be a good way to get ones that I want, and look for like fish for the ones that have these plus 2 skills on them. Okay, that's what you're looking for. It sounds like a lot, but honestly, most of it's happening at the same time, right? While you're getting gear, while you're pushing your gear into like the greater affixes, while you're trying to get the uniques for your build, you're getting Paragon points. When you go and do the pit to level your glyphs, that's pretty like standalone, but everything's kind of working together for the most part. The skills you'll have by the time you're done leveling, pretty much. And then the charms and seals, they're dropping all over the place. You're just trying to hang on to the ones that are good. Once you have pretty good ones, actually what I would do with the charms and seals that you get that you don't want is come over here to a vendor and sell them. Many of them are worth a lot of money, and this can be one of the best places to get gold. And gold can be one of your biggest bottlenecks as far as like improving your gear, adding affixes to things, like getting the stuff that you want almost always involves spending gold, and so gold can be a big bottleneck. So I would sell charms and seals for gold once you kind of have roles that you like for your build like this. Pretty much most of the ones that you get from that point you can sell for gold. So I hope that helps you guys. I hope if there was something that you're like, I don't get, like I'm kind of stuck. It seems like I'm on Torment 7, but I'm having a hard time clearing Torment 8. And then Torment 7's dropping me garbage for gear. I seem like I'm in a bottleneck or I'm kind of stuck. Hopefully with those different knobs to turn, you can kind of see how you always kind of keep pushing up. This character, as I took her from level 1 up through Torment 12, where I am now, right, and up to Pit 122, I was never really like stuck. I was never really bottlenecked. I was just consistently going forward really fast. I got into Torment 10 very quickly, and then farmed up the stuff and went from. I didn't play much in 11. I basically got to 10, farmed up some stuff, and then just started killing stuff in 12. That Corrupted Reaper was, it was a fight when I started doing it in Torment 12. It wasn't the hardest thing ever, but it was like I had to pay attention to mechanics. It was a fight. I wasn't like instantly killing her, but I killed her over and over again to get uniques and to get the little currency to craft uniques. Okay, these pandemonium fragments, that's what you really, like, if nothing else, you get that every time you kill her, so it's always worth it to kill her and loot the box. But yeah, you should be able to just kind of keep things moving and push to, at least push to Torment 12 and have fun with most builds that are at least, like, thought out well. So I would say, like, most builds that are at least like thought out well and put together well, you're probably able to run around in Torment 12 just fine. Okay, so I hope that helps you guys figure out how to build not just like the character that I built here, but any character that you want, whatever strikes your fancy, and go out there and have fun, slay those hordes of demons. Take it easy, guys.